So I'm talking to amazing creatives and artists and rock stars and record label executives and whoever will talk to me about the shit behind the shit.
Yeah.
So let's dive in if you're cool with it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let me kick it off. Peter Summit, lead singer, Crashing Wayward. I appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me on Value Session.
I'm so happy to be here and thank you for having me, Christopher.
Absolutely, man. So you picked Vigor, which is resilience and persistence. There's also, emotional awareness or emotional intelligence that you want to talk to. The pitch that I got and why I wanted to book this was um, for your latest song, Going Blind, which dropped on June 19th. And I thought that the topics behind that would be so cool for a value session. So I know that you guys came together in 2020. The whole world was going through something crazy. You wanted to do something real, and then I'm just gonna quote this because I don't want to mess it up. I wrote the lyrics to feel as if they were speaking of losing the love of your life. But for me, it's really about losing hope in yourself and the internal screams for help. I was like, boom, value session. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So let's talk, man.
Yeah. This, yeah, I think it's very important for me writing, when I write lyrics is to be able to connect and be able to relate with people.
Hmm.
Um, so writing from a perspective of like losing love of your life, I think most people can really feel that, right? But, um, and kind of like how going back to your life experiences, it's some of the things that you're kind of bringing up, and how what brought you here is exactly where I feel I am right now.
Hmm.
And my entire life, I've kind of struggled with mental health in the form of depression and
Okay.
confidence and motivation. Um, and so when writing Going Blind, it's like, let me write this about the love of my life in a way that sounds like it's about the love of my life, but really it's like the love of my life should be myself, you know? So if I lose
Yeah.
myself, what do I got? You know, how can I help? How can I help anybody around me? And I'm a father of three. And, it's kind of, I want to be that lesson to my kids. I want
Mhm.
to show them that every day I wake up every day, and I'm going to be honest with you. My wife kind of says it to me. She wakes up in great moods. She's happy.
Yeah.
And it takes me a minute to get there with her, because I wake up and every day it's kind of like, all right, how am I going to handle today? And, so that's what this song is really about. It's about just losing myself, giving up. Do I carry on? Do I persist in kind of being the best example I can be for my kids? But then going back into writing it in a way that people can feel like they can relate to that, and maybe kind of dive deeper into some of what the meanings of the lyrics actually mean. What is going blind? It's just
Mhm.
like losing sight of myself. Um,
Well, I love that, and I think it's funny, I just talked about this morning with another artist, and we were talking about the love of the self, that you have to love yourself. It's the oxygen mask. If you don't love yourself, take care of yourself, know yourself, you can't really do it well for other people. You have to take care of yourself first, and I find it funny that you use the wordplay to make it sound like it was love and a relationship, but it's actually the relationship with you. And even more ironic that this is a single off an EP that's called The Fight Within. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
all about that internal struggle. It,
right.
there's no like end to it per se. It's a challenge every day, or at least it can be a regular occurring challenge. What is it in your life, like, where do you find it challenging now? I mean, you're a dad, you've got a wife, you got all this positivity. Talk to me about the opposite of that within that world.
Yeah, it's very it's hard to put your finger on it. My wife,
Mhm.
she doesn't really experience depression the way that I experienced depression. I mean, she's had moments of feeling depressed and feeling down
Yeah.
and kind of losing hope, but it's like when you have this persistence and it's an everyday kind of thing, some days are better than others. Um, but I think I've always kind of fallen and played it off as, oh, I'm creative. This is the creative mind. This is how artists, um, and it's kind of like for me in a lot of ways, because I also like to paint as well. And before I was making music, I was painting. And when I would get really depressed and get down and out, the only way I could get out of it is if I was to paint something beautiful.
Mm,
So music is kind of doing the same thing for me. Um, I'm trying to write something beautiful. And if it's something personal about like what going blind is talking about, losing hope in yourself. I try to kind of come in with a melody that might be uplifting and hope, even though I might be singing lyrically something that's like, you know, um, real and kind of, from a dark perspective. I want to
right.
give some kind of hope. I don't want people to meet me on my, you know, at my level of just, losing myself. I want to
Mhm.
kind of give people that escape. Um,
Well, to
if that
balance,
makes
you're
sense, right?
of course, yeah, of course, you're
Yeah,
balancing like the dark lyrics with the light melody, and that's okay. I think that's a beautiful thing to do. And you're absolutely right. It's not about bringing people down per se, but you're speaking your truth. And I think that's very vulnerable and very important to that self love and that self discovery. And I say this quite often. Like the first thing that people should always do is just say the thing out loud. Like anger, hatred, of fear, or whatever it is, just say it out loud because it changes your perspective and your relationship to that thing. It becomes less scary or it becomes, more real, and then you can deal with it a little bit more. And you're
right.
literally doing that by screaming these lyrics. Do you find with you and depression and whatnot that the singing and the talking about it helps
It does.
with where you are?
It does. And the funny thing too is I'm I'm one who's never satisfied. So I can write a song and I'd be like, that was great. This is going to be a great song. I can't wait to record it. I can't wait to play it live. What's next?
Yeah.
Because it's like that high creative drive. And when I'm not meeting myself in creating nonstop, that's actually when depression kind of comes in and sets in with me.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a fish, like yeah, I just continually have to swim. I continually have to create to feel alive. And I'm just not one of those where it's like, yeah, we put out a great album 5 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
no, I want to continue making great music, something that feels real to me, truly authentic. I think that's kind of like what the band is. We're very authentic to ourselves and very appreciative of that. And but I got to keep growing and keep moving because it's kind of like I have a daughter who she struggles with kind of like the same kind of struggles that I have. She's
Mhm.
very highly creative. I mean, she's like sh- incredible voice. Everything kind of comes easy to her, and I think that's kind of one of those things where it's like sometimes things that come easy to somebody can really, because it comes easy, it gives them that lack of extra push because it's just kind of like, um, but it's kind of like, uh, yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was started getting deep into thinking of my kid.
That's okay, man. Like
Yeah.
that's I'm a dad too, and I have
Yeah.
two of my own, two step kids. My partner and I had a child last year. Unfortunately, we lost her. Thankfully,
Oh,
there is another
man.
one on the way, so that's going to be a real thing soon enough. Kids are the best, and I
Y
can relate. Sometimes you get lost in
yeah.
the kids lost for different reasons. Why don't we come back to the value? So, persistence and resilience. Vigor embodies our resilience and persistence in the faces of challenges. Challenge doesn't have to be external, it could be internal.
Right.
So how do you keep going, in the face of being down on yourself or depressed or whatever it is? What motivates you? What are some of the things that Peter Summit does to, I love that it's Summit, keep climbing that
Yeah.
proverbial mountain. How do you do it, Peter?
Yeah. Well, first I got to give praise to my wife, who is very supportive and allows me to really go for, you know, everything I can into this passion and music and create. And my kids. I think first, I really want to be an example to my kids, and I I've kind of always said to them, if anything, if I never get to that next level of, what we're all striving for in stardom and rock stardom, and
Mhm.
you know, um, I think we're doing great right now, but we can always level up. Like, kind of goes back to what I'm saying. Like, just keep going. Like, keep growing and getting better. Um, but what really drives me and motivates me is a lot it goes back to my kids. I want to be the example to them that, kind of
Mhm.
going back to my daughter who struggles a bit like I do, is I want to be that example of persistence. You don't give up no matter what. And the band's been together now about 6 years. We had COVID, it took 3 years until we actually were able to get to play live. We've put out music. Um, and nowadays, putting out music, you're not guaranteed anything. I mean, you're throwing your music out into the ether of thousands and thousands and thousands of songs that are released pretty much every day, you know?
Yeah.
So just trying to get our name out there. There's a lot of reasons why, or a lot of, hurdles that I could have easily said, all right, I'm done. I give up. But keep going. It is the kids, and it's also going back to, that need to create. I need to
Mhm.
create to feel alive, and there's just, like, you let boredom set in, that's kinda going back to that's where I'm back. I've circled back around, telling my kids, "You let boredom set in, then that's where that depression is gonna really kinda, like, you know, root itself.
Yeah.
So, that is, for me, one, be the best example I can to my kids. Um, and if I don't ever get to that next level that I'm striving for, I want my kids to see that and use that as their example there. And, I want persistence, vigor to be a core value for them, because
Mhm.
I think, as a father, right, you want the best for your kids, right? You want their better
100%.
versions. They should be better versions than us. And,
Yeah.
so I'm kinda hopeful of that, and,
Well, you for me hit the nail on the head because the journey is the goal. The journey is the reward. The thing that you and I are aspiring to, that end result, that's like a beacon. It's a direction for our life. It's not the thing. What we're doing today is the thing. If you're not happy today, you're missing the point of living this beautiful life. And that doesn't mean it's easy. I'm like you. I have days, sometimes multiple days where I just feel bummed out, disappointed, like I should be farther along. I didn't do this. We fall into the past, we fall into the future, but we recenter ourselves. And it sounds like for you, a big part of that recentering, gratitude, being present, persistence is just family, is the love of your kids, the wanting to do right by them. And then obviously the support from your wife. I'm assuming it's also the band members and stuff like that. And that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. Well, how do you do it? Well, I wake up and I do 8 hours on the bike and then I run and I eat a vegan patty and 10 steaks and off. No, it could just be, I look at my kids.
right. It can be just that. It could be the sunset. I don't wanna be cliche, it could be the sunset. Look at my
Mhm.
cats, look at my dogs, you know, um, that's, that's really it, and it's kinda like, I'm not I play and write music because I truly am truly, truly, truly am passionate about it. Like, this
Mhm.
is where I find my most enjoyment, being on stage, being able to perform, and being able to perform and write original music, and then get people that and it resonates with people, and meeting people where they're just like, your music has really touched them in a way that how we all hope, want
Yeah.
music to be felt. Because going back to like how we started our conversation, music is the universal language. I mean, it goes back to the beginning of history.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm doing this, and I can speak on behalf of my band as well too. We're doing this because we are truly passionate about it. the
Yeah.
The end result isn't fame, and I got $1 million in the bank, and well, actually $1 million is nothing these days. We got $15 million in
True.
the bank. Uh, that's all great, but you know what? It's the person that has $15 million in the bank, and you know on the surface has everything. It's probably feeling a lot like I do every day in a lot of ways. We all kind of have the
Yeah.
same. We can all have like a surface, like project something, but inside we're all kind of like feeling like, oh man, if I only had this, I'd be happy. And if I only had that, I'd be happy. Oh, what was me on this? That, you know,
Hmm.
whatever it is, I think we're all kind of that. I think we can all relate, in, in
100%.
feeling these feelings of, hope or, lean times or so. Yeah.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think that it's why I wanted to chat. I mean, the fight within is something that we have, all of us have, and it comes in so many different ways. It's not just depression. It could be success or generational trauma or, self like negative talk, whatever it is, there's always this internal fight that we have to work on. And I like going blind as a concept because we can't afford to lose sight of ourselves or of what we're doing things for. If you're genuinely passionate about something and that's like your ikigai, your reason for doing something, like you with art and me with this, then that's good. Don't lose sight of that. Keep going. Let time do the heavy lifting, and it'll be what it's supposed to be. Artists sometimes ask me like, "How do I succeed?" And I say, "You succeed by doing the reps. You succeed by not taking yourself out of the race and by constantly getting better and reiterating and trying new things. And the same thing comes down to how we live our life, right? We have to do that with life as well. I really appreciate your time and you sharing some more about you and the song. I'll end with a fun anecdote, which we can talk about for a second, because I do think
Right.
team and community is important. You talked about the family and the kids. Uh, I went to your page to start getting some notes and research and saw that you guys were working with Golden Robot. And I had Kay McCauley on as a guest last year, and she's
Oh, did you?
wonderful.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you know what? She's one of those people within the industry who's generally like a huge fan of music and is doing what she does because she loves music and she wants to see artists succeed. And you have to surround yourself in this industry and life with good people, period.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kay is awesome. We're very happy with Golden Robot. They, I think they really see what we want to do, and they're in full support of that. And they've kind of, uh, given us a lot of love. And I'm really excited to see what happens, especially once we release the EP and this coming next year. And hopefully we'll get to Australia soon and explore and experience their summer, which will be January, February, our winter. So,
Well,
um,
you and I know how you get there. It's vigor, resilience, and persistence. So just keep going.
yeah.
What are end us, wrap us up. Give me some final thoughts for people to take away with.
Some final thoughts. Yes. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Um, I
Well, what
cannot
about as it?
express. Yeah.
I was just
I'm
gonna
sorry. Go
say,
ahead.
no, as it relates to vigor, and what we talked about with the depression and keeping going. Like, wrap us with some of the stuff that you do.
Uh, I, like I said, I start with my coffee. That's my meditation. And I sit outside and I have about 30 cypress trees in my backyard. And that's my kind of like moment to meditate and to kind of like really take it in. And it really is, I mean, it can sound like cliche, but you got to take the deep breaths, and kind of like get grounded. I take my shoes off and touch the ground and like kind of connect. Um, and I kind of, I start my day, I kind of give myself a little of a repetition a bit, you know, whether that's exercise or kind of like setting my day, lining up the creative outlet and the output. And I try to take a moment every morning and just kind of like be with my wife and my kids and kind of get into the day, because I need to have, first and foremost, I need to have that connection with my wife and have a good day. Because if we're not, I work out of the house with her, and if we're not connecting, then that's going to just throw everything off.
Mhm.
So that's the first and foremost, the most important thing of starting my day right. And create, create, create. Stay inspired. Um, I was listening to Rick Rubin talk. I forget who he was speaking to, but it kind of hit home. And that was, you have to continually stay in the moment. You have to continually be in that moment of doing, because if you don't do, the inspiration, it's not going to, present itself. It's not going to come out of no place. You got to
Mhm.
continually do it. You can fail, but keep going. And then all of a sudden something's going to hit and it's going to present itself and it's going to be there. So, I mean, that goes with me with writing songs. I've written countless bad songs, but you know
Yeah.
what? If I keep going, I'm going to, I think, write a few good ones. So,
Well, I think you summed us up perfectly there, because even with things like depression, with whatever goals you have in your life, you're gonna get knocked off. You're gonna fall off. You're gonna have good days, bad days, and that's okay. It's how you get back up and how you keep going. It's having the tools to keep recentering and keep refocusing. And the more you arm yourself, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the less you fall off, and the more you stay, like Rick said, in that moment.
right. And I think human connection is very important of that.
Yeah.
We do. Sometimes we want to be kind of like left alone, and that's good. I like taking drives and not having the radio on or any podcasts or anything, and just kind of like listening. And one of my favorite quotes is God's what was it? Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. That is it. That's the quote.
That's awesome.
Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And that, for me, that comes in silence a lot of times. But we do need that human connection. So I do advise everybody, come see us live and and come see music. Come support live music and connect with people. It is important, especially today.
I appreciate your time, Peter. I find you're very authentic, but I find your name especially interesting because I just looked it up because I had this inkling, and Peter, from a biblical origin of meaning, the symbolism is the rock. And here's a quote: "Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." So it's so funny that you have rock in your first name,
Oh, that's
and
wow.
summit, right? The mountain, all rock. And so
Yeah,
don't lose, keep fighting. The summit is there, but it's going to be a rocky journey to get up it.
that is beautiful. Thank you. I'd never in all my life never put that together. So thank you, Christopher.